Hello, hello, and welcome to Don't Cut Your Own Bangs, the mini-series Put Down the Panic, a kinder guide to stress. This is our final episode, y'all. We're here. We made it, and it is perfect timing because we are in the throes of holiday season. The holiday season is upon us, and man, do we need to put down the panic because we deserve calm without having to earn it. And that's what we've been talking about this whole time, and that's what we're going to wrap up with. Question for you. Does the word no ever get stuck in your throat? Do you say yes when you're screaming no inside, or you shoot off a text reply quickly just so you don't forget to respond, and then you realize, oh, I've committed myself to something and I didn't put it in my calendar and I don't know how many things I've said yes to, or is it just me? I don't think it's just me. We've all been there, or we all are there. You are not alone. The finale of this mini-series is all about boundaries because keeping your stress low or in a manageable range is arguably easier, safer, more sustainable, and better for us all around than constantly trying to recover from it or recover from the deep, sizzling fry of burnout. Today, we are going to be talking about how to say no without feeling like a bad person and maybe even feeling good about saying no. And for those of you out there who are recovering people pleasers, that is possible. So stay tuned. Here we go. Why does saying no feel so hard? I think we all have maybe a different relationship with communicating no or with communicating with clarity. But I think that saying no, a clear no, or even a full embodied yes, getting to the truth of what that is, the deeper layer of that is, what is your relationship with yourself as it speaks to being needed by others, disappointing others? And are you a look out to see who you need to be first kind of person? Or are you a look within to discern what feels right within you before speaking kind of person? And I think depending on the situation, whether it's business, personal, family, those dynamics are fluid and they can change based on the relationship, the stage of life you're in, the stressors of the world or the stressors of your life. I have gotten a lot more comfortable saying no since having kids, but that's also because there's just less of me to go around. All of these factors of life are important to take into consideration, but for the purposes of this and for you as you're listening to this episode is to really think about, is this true for you? Would you rather fake a medical emergency than just say no to the holiday party, to the trip, to the just want to pick your brain over coffee, the school bake sale? Like, would you rather fake a medical emergency than just saying no? I think some people would. I think that's oftentimes why people they don't just say no. They really have to paint a picture, a really elaborate, detailed picture of, I'm not just sick, but like, here's all my symptoms and here's photos of me sick. I'm on my way to the ER. Here's photos of me racing in the car. There's this fear and feeling that we have to prove the reason rather than say no. And if we really look at what that is on the deeper level, on the other side, what we are wanting to safeguard against is somebody else's disappointment in us or somebody else's just disappointment in general. So don't be mad. Don't have a feeling about this. Don't be upset because I'm giving you all of this evidence. These are all the reasons why I can't. It's not just that I don't want to, which is true. It's not just that I can't, which is also probably true too. It's that all of these reasons, it's not me. And when we do that dance, we like tap around the truth. It's uncomfortable. It's not only is it uncomfortable for the receiver because they're having to sort of like be barraged with all of these details they didn't ask for. It also is exhausting for the performer, for the person who's in the role of don't be mad, don't be mad. That takes a lot of energy. The other thing that's important to be noted in this context, that there is a cultural script, especially for women, to be pleasing and to be polite, to be pretty. There's all those annoying P words, pretty, polite, pleasing, to be a good girl. That in that conditioning, whether it's expressed explicitly or it's been implicitly infused into how we move through the world, and this isn't only specific to women by any means. Trust me, I have worked with many male clients I'm also married to a man who has his own relationship with people pleasing. But however it's informed and however it becomes adopted by us, on some level, we believe we are responsible for how other people feel about us. And to say that that's not true almost always creates a record scratch in a session with a client or even a conversation with someone. The record scratch is not because it isn't true, but that is not part of our cultural conditioning for many of us. And especially if we think about attachment style, I'm going to get put on my therapy hat for a minute. When we think about attachment styles, I'll give a little context for what that means. So essentially, from birth to 2 years old and from 2 years old to roughly 5 years old, there's different stages of development. And the attachment you have, whether it's disorganized, organized, anxious, or avoidant, or confident or secure, depends on how the primary caregiver of your life responded to you, met your needs as you were developing as a infant and a small child, about 5 years old. And so for an anxious attachment style, and there's different, I have heard many different interpretations of the same concept. So the language you may have heard before might be a little different. Just for example, I just finished listening to Elizabeth Gilbert's book, All the Way to the River. She briefly touches on attachment theory and even the language, not the overall definition, but the labels of like anxious and avoidant. I think she called it insecure and secure. She maybe even used a different word, but the point is that there are different iterations and interpretations of this concept, but I think you'll get the point once I make it. So an anxious attachment style, they are essentially, they become more attuned to tapping into the needs, the emotional needs of the people in their environment to figure out who and how to be. So if somebody's upset, if somebody's sad, if somebody's bristly, prickly, about to pop off with their temper, I'm going to move into my world and I'm going to figure out who I need to be and how I need to be in order to navigate this world safely or to navigate this environment safely. And this is all happening at very, very young stages of development. This is like pre-verbal and in many ways pre-memory. An avoidant attachment is there was so much inconsistency in either presence or how somebody showed up. So either somebody was absent a lot, not there at all, or I couldn't trust who you were going to be when I showed up. So I tuned out. I didn't tune into the environment because I didn't feel like I could trust what was happening in my environment. So an avoidant attachment style, their instinct would be more to lean away. Anxious attachment style is more likely to lean in. What do you need from me? Who do I need to be for you? And that's a really cursory, very rudimentary explanation, but that gives you a rough idea of when you hear this. I say that more to highlight the reasons why it's hard to say no is because there are reasons. There are reasons. I think it's so easy to oversimplify or to put people into boxes and categories so quickly. And the more context you can add, the more compassion I think you have access to. My point is, if it's hard for you to say no, there's a reason. And we're going to work on it. We're going to get you there. It's okay. So if you are maybe a recovering people pleaser, maybe there's a little bit of codependency in the mix in your family of origin, maybe you have a little bit of an anxious attachment style. There's this visceral feeling that the way people feel around you as you move throughout your environments is your responsibility. You are in charge of what that means. And so then when they hand you a harmless invitation to some event on your only day off in the 2-hour window where you get any peace and quiet, and they hand you this invitation to this very high energy, high need. Oh, there's a costume. Oh, and there's a baked good you need to bring. Oh, and don't forget for the donation that we're also going to do for all of these conditions that in their world are very well intended. And you get handed this invitation and it doesn't feel like an invitation. It feels like you've been handed a fiery hot cast iron pot and you're holding it in your hands without oven mitts and you just want to throw this pot somewhere, but you don't know what to do. And you just think, yes, I can't wait. Oh no, what have I done? That is what we're talking about. And there's a lot of other expressions of this, but when it's hard to say no, there's a reason. And we're going to figure out what that is and maybe help you feel a little bit bolder, a little bit braver, and a little bit safer to say the no's you want to actually say no to and leave space for the yeses you want it to say yes to. Something to remember as we move forward in this conversation is that boundaries are not rejection, they're clarity. Boundaries are often simplified and misnamed as only being no. And what a boundary is really not about what you say to the other person. What boundaries truly are, it's this like sacred contract between you and you. I play this game with myself all the time. There's a past version of me and a future version of me, and I'm in conversation with them all the time and stay with me because this actually isn't woo. It's more like emotionally grounding. So if the past version of me, let's say Danielle from 3 days ago, knew she was going to need more space to record a podcast, edit it, produce it, market it. So she added a little bit more space for herself today in her calendar 3 days ago, knowing she was like, oh, you know what? That's probably going to feel really crunched and tight and stressful for me. So I'm going to make myself unavailable to other social engagements. I'm going to eat my lunch at home. I'm not going to go out to eat because I don't want to waste time in the car because I know that that'll make me feel tense if I get stuck in traffic. Like, I'm going to do myself the favor and block out that time. That's Danielle from 3 days ago. Danielle today, sitting in her calendar, sitting in her day, knowing she's got this buffer. She's got this playroom of like, oh, okay, I actually got through my project a little faster than I thought I would. So I've got a little bit more room to maybe add a walk-in that I wasn't sure I would have time for. What I do in those moments where I can take a deep breath because of something I did in the past that set me up for success today, I thank me from the past. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for taking care of us. Thank you for giving me that extra time because you knew I'd probably feel stressed and you were right. So thank you for that. And I'll also talk to future self like, hey, girl, I'm setting you up so that next week when you have that thing, you know exactly what you're going to wear and you're not going to be stress sweating in your closet trying to figure it out. That in its own way, it may not sound like a boundary in the way that we think about it in relationships, but I knew my relationship with myself was that I am not going to put the pressure on me to have to fit things around this very important project. So I'm going to make this commitment to myself and make myself unavailable for this chunk of time before and this chunk of time after. A boundary is a commitment between you and you. So how that would play out within a relationship, I will not allow myself to be put in a position to feel this way. I will not put myself in a position to feel stressed, flustered, or overwhelmed because I have the capacity to change my schedule. And so I will. So it's a commitment and an honoring of the commitment between you and you. And we'll talk about other examples of how that would play out. But I like to highlight that because boundaries, not just a no, are a firm like finger wag, like, I'm going to tell you what you can and cannot do to me. No. It's this is what I will and will not do for myself. Remember, boundaries are not rejection, they're clarity. So you might be thinking, well, what if all these things I'm saying yes to are things I really want to do? And that is also possible. Sometimes we have a lot of really good options. You're like at a delicious buffet and everything looks amazing. And you're like, I don't know. I want the dinner roll and I want the slice of pie. I don't know why I'm thinking about like MCL cafeteria. That's a real throwback. Anybody listening who's ever been to an MCL cafeteria, that was like the coolest thing when I was a kid. Little side note with my grandma. That's where she would take me for lunch. She would pick me up from school early, go to MCL cafeteria. And they had all the desserts first. And then they had all the breads and all the rolls. So I had my pie and my Jell-O and my dinner roll. And then I got my fried chicken and all my other stuff. But sometimes you're standing in front of a buffet line and everything looks good and you're really hungry. That can also be the situation as we're moving into this holiday season. You have friends' birthdays, you have kids' parties, you have school. Like, oh my gosh, anytime I get to see Logan doing something adorable at school where she's just bouncing around in some outfit she doesn't normally wear, it's charming as hell. And I love seeing that stuff. But it's also taking in the energetic toll that goes into the planning, organizing, getting there, getting back, everything else that needs to happen in my life that I'm still committed to in addition to these new holiday invitations. There's not just the buffet, it's everything, there's life happening around the buffet. So we're going to talk about the cost of saying yes too much. When we say yes to everything, what that means is if everyone gets a yes from me, there's nothing left for me. And overwhelm will creep in because if you think of your energy like a bank, I like to think of my time not just as my time, but an energetic exchange. So there's money in the ATM machine and I make deposits and then I also make withdrawals. And so every time I'm saying yes to someone, that is a withdrawal. I'm giving them the chunk of the deposit of my time. And every relationship, every commitment has a different energetic requirement. But also, some exchanges will also fill my cup too. Thinking of myself like that, this is an energetic exchange. It makes the time on the calendar not feel so much like the time on the calendar, but the time it takes me to warm up and rev up into something or recover after. I like to think of all of those things because in the times where I haven't, and I've said yes to everything because it technically, like a Tetris game, could have slipped in a 15-minute, a 30-minute, a 2-hour slot on my calendar. By the end of the day, I have no fuel left in the tank. I am completely depleted and drained. I'm running on fumes, or metaphorically, I'm broke down on the side of the road. What we're wanting to acknowledge is that sometimes you're saying no to something that you would like to say yes to. It's just a matter of, I don't have any more fuel in the tank. There's no more cash in this ATM to give. Not for lack of wanting, but truly for lack of ability or an energetic toll. Because you don't want to run yourself into the ground in order to meet everybody else's needs, because there will be a cost to you. There always is. If setting boundaries is something that you would like to practice more gently, I have created the Treasure Journal, a 7-part guided journal and meditation series designed to help you reflect, reset, and listen to yourself before burnout sets in. And if you've got kids in your life, Wrestling a Walrus for Little People with Big Feelings is a playful tool that can help them and you name and navigate your big emotions without shame. Both links are available in the show notes, and stick with me because before this episode is done, there's a special gift I've been saving for you that won't be shared anywhere else that will help you get through the holiday season with maybe just a little more fuel, a little bit more energy in your tank. So we're going to practice. Maybe you've been listening and you're like, Danielle, these concepts are great, but what are the actual words? And I can tell you that almost every conversation I've had with clients about this very thing, they're like, cool, great, super great. Okay, so I believe you, I'm with you. Now what do I say to the person? What are the words? And while I don't think scripts, especially therapeutic model scripts, that sounds to me like you have some big feelings. You can tell when somebody's new in therapy because they start talking different. You don't want to necessarily move through your life living it scripted. However, I also understand that when you're standing in front of somebody who's asking you something, or you're holding your phone and you see the message and you've read it, and now it's been marked as read, and they know you've read it, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. What do I actually say? Sometimes having a script helps. It's just true. We're going to talk about 3 different versions that you can copy paste for your specific scenario. You can try it out and will hopefully make this a little less tense and a little less edgy when you're lovingly passing on or accepting invitations to things, setting boundaries. Let's start. The first character is your polite and firm character. Thank you for thinking of me, but I can't commit to that right now. Ooh, that sounded very proper. That sounded like something that maybe Gwyneth Paltrow would say. Thank you for thinking of me, but I can't commit to it right now. Obviously, this is a script. And you know what? You can revise, re-edit, rewrite. You can add your own flair and personality to it. What I like to think about with polite and firm is the most simple form of that is no thank you. Just no thank you. There's other scripts coming, but something to keep in mind too is less is more. Less is more. I think the amount of detail that you offer or the amount of personal anecdotes that you share, that also depends on the intimacy of the relationship. So if you think about the relationships on the outer edges or periphery of your life, the people you hardly know, very loosely connected acquaintances, or people that you like, but maybe you've only met 1 or 2 times, as we inch into the holiday season, so too are we spending more time with relationships that we have a lot of intimacy and shared history with, and family, loved ones. I would say the closer the relationship, the tighter the inner circle, there's probably more room to shade in details that you wouldn't otherwise share. I don't ever mind offering close friends a more detailed context when I need to step away. And because I've been practicing this and getting it wrong, but also practicing this for so long, I have almost all of my friends, I can say something to the tone of this. Listen, today, Danielle really wanted to say yes to this, but she has no idea how she's going to feel in 2 weeks at your actual event. Are you comfortable with this being a maybe? Or flat out, I love you so much and I want to see you, and there's just no thank you. I can't do that. I think however casual and however much information or the level of honesty you want to offer, gauge the type of relationship you're working with here. And that doesn't mean be less authentic. It's actually more about honoring the truth of the relationship you have. Somebody who I've had 2 conversations with, I don't need to give context to. They haven't really earned that from me. But I can still be polite and I can still be firm. Again, polite and firm, that works great. You can also be polite and firm with people that you know well, but we can also try a gentle redirect. I don't have the capacity, but here's another option that might help. Now, this I think is a really good entry point for people who are so used to saying yes, because I want to give you something, but I'm not going to give you me. And I'm going to say, in the world of burnout recovery, in the world of burnout prevention, this is still a W. This is still a win. Now, long term, is it our responsibility to provide a solution to everybody's problem? Maybe not. But that also depends on the relationship. If we're talking about in a workplace, and this is a colleague or a boss, you may be in a situation where having something to offer is ultimately better for the relationship. You have to decide this. But a gentle redirect, I don't have the capacity, but here's what I can do. Or I won't be available, but here's when I am available. Sometimes it just feels nice for yourself and for the other person to say, it's not that I don't want to do the thing. I just don't have the capacity to do the thing. But here's an option for you. I love this one. And then the last one is a flat out no. And I haven't used this one a lot. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I haven't used it a lot, but I'm working on it. And no or no thank you. That's it. No is a complete sentence. No thank you. I always like being polite. I mean, there's nothing wrong. You're not losing anything by being polite. But no thank you. I do that all the time for like email requests that like when people just want to drop in my inbox and make requests. No thank you. Or I just don't reply at all. But choose your own adventure, engage your energy. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, something you have heard me say is that the truth in its highest expression is kind. And boundaries are a kindness to yourself as well as the other person. Because what you are saying is, this is what you can expect from me. This is how you can relate to me. This is how you can show up for me. And so often the stress in relationships, especially if you watch any sitcom, rom-com, the drama is in the confusion, what isn't said, or misunderstandings. So when you get clarity, like if people had clear, healthy communication in most romantic comedies right from the beginning, and they were fully honest right from the very beginning, there wouldn't be a story, because it's what isn't said that needs to be said. Or what is misinterpreted that often leads to the drama that unfolds for the 90 minutes that you're watching it. And while those things are fun to watch on TV, I don't want to live in that. I don't have time. I don't have time for all that drama and misunderstanding. I want to have fun. I want to have rest. I want to have quality time with people, and I want to make good work. And so boundaries are one of the clearest, most concise ways that we can honor that for ourselves, honor our energy, and prevent burnout. And I just want to note too, that if your expression of any of the scripts that were offered here today don't sound like Oprah's super soul voice, that is okay. It still counts. But if you do sound like Oprah, then bravo, good for you. And let's all go meet her together. Final reframe. Boundaries are not walls. They are doors with hinges that you control how to open and close. Saying no actually creates space for better yeses. More things that fill the tank, more things that provide energy, that fill that ATM. Clearer no's make for better yeses. And your peace is not up for negotiation. You deserve peace without having to earn it. You deserve calm without having to earn it. And if you find yourself negotiating too much at your own expense, I would invite you to revisit this episode or even this series and see where you can make some gentle reframes and ask yourself why. Who is it really serving? What pain am I eating at the cost and expense of somebody else maybe needing to hear no? We never know. But what I often find is that when I am relating to somebody who is so in touch with who they are, honest with themselves, and therefore by extension, honest with me, I feel so safe because I realize, oh, this is a relationship where performance is not required. I can say no and not be afraid that they're going to abandon or reject. I can say yes and know that I'm going to show up and they're going to show up for a good time, because when we say yes, we mean it. We say no, there's a reason. And that feels so clear and safe, particularly in a world that feels so unsafe and confusing many times. I'm going to look for clarity wherever I can find it. As we close out to this mini-series, what I want to say more than anything is thank you. Thank you for spending your time and your energy and your attention here with me. And as promised, I had something I wanted to share and offer you. So here it is. As my gift to you, I have actually created a bonus guided meditation that is all about grounding, resetting, and letting go of the mental load. And in short, it's a gentle way of helping you press pause whenever you need it most. Here's where you will find it. At danielleireland.com/free. danielleireland.com/free. There will be 3 meditations for you there that you can use anytime. Thank you for coming along with me for this mini-series. Remember, your boundaries protect your peace, and peace isn't something you have to earn. Share this episode or any episode in the series with a friend who might need it as a reminder. And if you have yet, subscribe to never miss an episode. This has been the last episode of Put Down the Panic, a kinder guide to stress from Don't Cut Your Own Bangs. Thank you for coming along with me. And what I may even do, actually, is encapsulate all of the content from the last 5 episodes in this mini-series in one big review episode. Because honestly, when I am trying to remember something and it's in a giant tome of a book, I don't always put notes in the margins. I don't always highlight and tab. So actually, this is what I'm in real time. This is what I'm deciding. I'm going to do a recap episode for not this week, but the following week. So in 2 weeks, there's going to be a recap episode that's going to encapsulate and surmise everything we talked about in one episode. And I'm basically going to just bullet it out, a few key takeaways, so that there's one place for you to reaccess and retain all the things we talked about for these last 5 episodes. Thank you for being here. These are such a pleasure for me to do. And if you have new topics that you want me to hit for the upcoming solo cast, because every other week is going to be a solo cast. So you tell me, is there a topic you want help on? Do you want to deep dive into something more? Was there something I talked about on these? And you're like, girl, you went through that way too fast. I need much more information. I think, help, please. I got you. We can totally do that. Email me at danielle@danielleireland.com, subject bangs, and we'll go there. We'll talk about it. But that's it. That's it for today. Thanks for being here. I hope you continue to have a wonderful day.